Welcome to the Bayou City Soccer Podcast. Whether inside or outside the loop, we are talking everything soccer in Houston. Y'all ready? Let's get it. Houston, welcome to another episode of the Bayou City Soccer Podcast. My name is Rudy Segura. I am so happy to be here on this MLK Day. Hope you guys do some kind of, honoring or just think about MLK when he's done for sure in his day. But here we are to talk a little bit more Houston soccer. And Dago's back. Dago, how are you? I think he reached out last week and was like, hey, man, did you guys record? Are you guys recording this week? We did record. And I was like, you missed out, man. You missed out on the fun. But I am not alone. It is kind of late, 9 p.m., and I do my best to stay alive. I know Chris does too, especially when he works. But I am joined by the one and only Cristian Putalias, brother. How are you?
Buenas. Good, man. Good. Doing good. A little chilly, right? These last couple of days, but I think we're good. There was some other sports around the city, not in town, but around. But maybe not so happy about that. But we're back. We're back. I think soccer is getting closer and closer, inching closer and closer for a Dynamo opening day. So I'm happy for that.
Yeah, I mean, like Houston sports in general, they tend to create this big hype just to come crashing down. And we are talking about the Houston Texans had
Our friends.
a really bad Sunday night. I was so excited. I knew they could do it, but there was one guy that was playing with the other team.
They play with 12.
Texas jersey on. But anyway, that's beside the point. We'll leave it for another podcast. I'm sure there's plenty of them for the Houston Texans. But hey, we are here. We're excited ourselves. We keep seeing in the Houston Dynamo side of things roster building as well as Houston Dash. They're doing a really good job of getting a lot of young players signed. So shout out there to Orange and Blueprints.
Yes.
Check them out if you're a support women's sports for sure. I've done in the last year and a half to kind of watch way more specifically Houston Dash games and NWSL. I've been trying. I know, Chris, that was probably one of your New Year resolutions that only lasted maybe a couple weeks into the NWSL last year.
I mean, the bad thing about the NWSL is not like anything about the game itself. Sometimes it's just getting to watch the game, like finding the game. Like I know we give a lot of crap to like the MLS, but I think them centralizing it into like one spot, it made it a lot easier for, hey, if you got to find it, it's going to be in one spot and one spot only. I feel like the NWSL sometimes is everywhere, and you're like, wait, which channel?
It does jump around. I will say, for the most part, you can get a lot of free access in the NWSL Plus website. But yeah, it's something you get stuck on. Either is it Paramount Plus? Is it on ESPN? It does jump around a little bit. So I understand, but it does make it like if it is free, or you can watch on Tubi, on Ion TV. Like, I mean, there's cool a lot of ways to watch it for free, but yeah, it's just kind of like which app is it today? I'm with you.
And funny that like the two games that I was like, you know what, I got time, I'm gonna sit down, watch it, enjoy it, actually try to learn the players and all this, and then they got delayed. And you're like, God dug it. Like the one time that I actually was trying to put some work into it and love and affection, and I was like, let's root for the home team. It got rain delayed, and you're sitting there for like an hour watching an empty stadium with rain, and you're like, God.
I remember that, and actually, I think I was at the game too. There was one or two that happened.
There was a couple. For sure.
Welcome in. We're letting people trickle in. Again, we understand there's also a college football game. We ourselves were like, if you call yourself an Indiana fan or a Miami fan, I'm sure there are, because Houston is transplant city after all, but maybe it'd be a minimal. However, there are people out there that tend to just bandwagon whoever's there, aka Manny Olivares. We won't say
shut out.
It's by
we won't say names
right now, ready to like see who who ends up winning, just to actually rep that thing, and we'll see a post out there. But
He has 2 jerseys on his cart right now.
they're ready to check out.
One of them is gonna get deleted. Shout
No
out to
kidding,
Manny.
dude. No kidding. And Jay is checking in for LA.
Shout out.
I gotta give Jay a shout out. He did just became a Bayou City Soccer community member not that long ago. So we appreciate you guys listening. We appreciate you guys, giving a little bit of, that financial support to help us keep running this website. We've said it a million times. We don't do it to become famous and rich and whatever it entails. But, we are here to provide as much information for Houston soccer in general, not just the Dynamo, the Dash Dynamo too, of course, but anything that kind of goes through the city and we're able to cover in professional soccer, man. We do enjoy. Christian, once again, take out the trash after this, please.
the text messages are trickling in.
Yeah,
I already took out mine, dog. I had to put out our recycling bin
first because it's cold, man. And I have a longer walk. It's like about it feels like a quarter of a mile from
you
here.
Got a track, bro.
Cold, but no, but yeah, obviously, thank you guys for everybody that chips in to continue this Bayou City Soccer project. Again, we try and we are as honest and as genuine as we can be. This is who we are. Chris and I, if you see us, outside of the spectrum of a podcast booth, we're probably funnier. We're probably sometimes even more quiet. I will say though, you can come to me, you'll get the same energy, but I'm not going to go out there and look to be the what is the word? The
center of attention.
Center of attention. There you go. Because that's just not me. I to this day I remember when we took that trip to FC Dallas, what was it, like 2021 or something like that?
Yeah, it's been a while.
And what do we do, man? We just slept. And people were like, man, I thought you guys were podcasters. I thought y'all were gonna talk. And I was like, dude, we have kids at home. This is a 5-hour drive. We're gonna take a nap. Like
this is our time to be alone.
You don't understand. No one's coming to bother you every 10 seconds.
That's true.
I saw actually a meme that said, now as a parent, I understand what that scene in Star Wars when Yoda. Did you see that?
Yeah.
It's like Yoda that decides to die because Luke won't stop asking questions. I get it now.
But why? God, that always gets me so.
Oh, dude. Yeah, but anyway, so thank you again for your support. And Chris, I don't know if you want to tell the people how they can connect with us and some of our sponsors and friends.
Yeah. Like you were saying, thank you to everybody that's joining on our community chat. We have a little Discord going on. There's a small entrance fee. We were actually, we'll talk about some stuff later on. We got to discuss with Dustin, the boss man. But there was some stuff that we were going to do with that exclusive chat, but I think it's going to be fun once the season starts, because that's where we're going to be talking. All of our guys are there. Everybody that helps out in Bayou City Soccer. That's what we there communicate and stuff like that. So, and now we're inviting you guys in, the other, the fans, to kind of chit chat with us. And and there's a bunch of stuff that goes around there. Like you guys know, we get to talk to players, coaches, and stuff like that. So it's a little window that we kind of open so you guys can come in and join us and ask questions and do stuff like that, and be able to give you guys a voice as well, right? Not just us and what we see, but maybe you have a question for a specific player that we may get to interview or whatever it may be, and then we can throw it in that chat and you guys can kind of answer back. But for you to find all the information, it's going to be at I was going to say Dynamo Theory. It's going to be at BayouCitySoccer.net. That's where you're going to be finding everything, all the crazy stuff that we have over there. All the cool stuff that we have over there. I have Dynastats every once in a while, put some really good statistics, stuff that you might like. Joey does the ratings, those are amazing. And Dustin just keeps pumping out stuff from left to right, and just a bunch of stuff that we do there for the Dash, for Dose, for everybody, honestly, here in Houston. Not only just the pro teams, but all the teams around, all the soccer around, especially now with the World Cup coming. There's some stuff also being worked on the background for whenever that time comes. And as well, shout out to everybody that's helping us out. Like We Got Soccer. You can find those guys at wegotsoccer.com. I'm actually going to be taking a trip down there soon because I need to buy cleats. I think I'm getting back into the field. So we're probably going to go take a trip to We Got Soccer. Ugly Guppy, we're going to be reaching out to them. So shout out to those guys for always helping us. The first people that believed in us. So that means a lot. And Elotes Bravos, who you're always going to find at the stadium at Shell Energy. I was going to say BBVA. I'm old school today, man. I'm
Man,
I'm
look at your
throwback.
mind, bro. Yeah, no kidding.
I'm super throwback today.
Yeah, but
thank you to everyone. Thank you to everyone that has been supporting us.
yeah, so obviously we get in here, guys. Yeah, we see Dago on the Bayou banter. So I'm trying for it to catch, man. Still, Mr. Tovar asking, are the Dynamo MLS contenders now? What are the
That's
topics?
a good question.
There's a lot. Is the bogus deal done? We'll talk all about this because that's really what we're gonna focus. So the main topic, there's gonna be subtopics for sure, but the main topic will be about the roster spending that we've seen, not just this year, but since the arrival of Ted Segal. Right. We'll start with what's happening right now, and we are not alone.
Yeah. Before we start, and before we bring our third person, so talking about Ted Segal, leave us a thumbs up if you like what he's been doing in the club. Let's just say, just not in the other side of the club. We'll talk about that too, and like marketing and stuff like that. That's a different conversation that we will for sure have. But on the roster building, player buying, Ted, what do you guys like him? Thumbs up on the chat. And if you don't like any of the deals that he has done, all the money that he has spent, then leave us a thumbs down. So then we can kind of gauge where you guys are coming from, and then that's what we're going to be talking about. But go ahead, Rudy.
Yeah, absolutely. So Edson, if you give me a thumbs up, I'll let you in and I'll introduce you and all that good stuff. I don't know if you wanted to join or not. It looks like he's typing. He just wanted to be in the background. That's fine if that's the case, bro.
I'll just play the background.
Yeah. So going to it, people are asking about the all the information there we're seeing with the transfers last week. We recorded on Tuesday.
Sorry, the in between. Somebody's asking if there's an in between.
Yeah, I mean,
throw a hand like
could
this
be for sure. So what we've seen this specific season, if we're rating the transfer market or the transfer window that has been bolstered by the Houston Dynamo, I think it's A+. On paper, the guys that they've just arrived, whether it be Guillermo, whether it be Lucas Halter, Agustin Bosat, obviously the return of Hector Herrera, we kind of came out of nowhere, and it was fantastic. Obviously, one thing that we won't really dig into too much of it because it's out there, and you guys can listen to all the interviews that took place on Thursday. I know, again, we recorded on Tuesday, but Dustin was out there asking questions apart from other media outlets, which to me is fantastic that they're out there and being a part of it for sure. But let me get Edson in here so that way he can also. Hey, what's up, Edson?
Yo,
welcome to the club.
Hey guys, is this where we go in and destroy the Houston Dynamo and then burn it to the ground?
Welcome.
We'll try.
Just kidding, guys. No. I honestly, I think, to be honest, just to answer your question right now, I mean, I think so far he's done good. I mean, he's put in a lot more effort than. I mean, we complained about Gabriel Brenner for so many years, right?
Yeah.
So I think honestly, Ted Segal has done a lot more that we've been used to for a long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we've had one terrible year. I think, like I've told other people before, at least give him give Pat, give Ben Olsen the benefit of the doubt. And I think I even mentioned it here before. Give him the benefit of the doubt to revert this ship back on course.
And you hit a perfect point, and that's kind of where we're going with this, in the sense of like this transfer window. You see it on paper, you see what they're bringing. Obviously, they, apart from having a bad season, it was just nothing was done when it came for reinforcements, right? After a bunch of the players leaving. Now, people are going to be happy or angry that a player like Hector Herrera is back, right? Because they're like, why didn't you even keep him to begin with, or why are you bringing this old guy that barely played in Toluca, right? It's gonna be on both sides of the spectrum. Um, but when you see the roster building and the money that they're spending in this, obviously specifically, and to
Mm-hmm.
answer, the question about Matthews Bogus, yes, it looks like everything's done. Reports are that I think Tom Boger was the last one to post about it, that
Yeah.
it was done. It looks like it's about 6 mil cash with 4 mil in incentives plus a 30% sell on. That's actually a really great deal for this guy, because if everything goes well and this guy scores 20 goals, has 20 assists, dude, you're golden. Those 20 million that you're gonna pay, it's fantastic business in that case. And I think that's what you're gonna see out of this guy. I think it's difficult to settle in Liga MX, and this, Edson. How many teams have tried their hardest to bring their own Andre Guignac? Only your Tigres have been able to kind of do that,
Yeah.
and they're very talented players. And just because they don't work out in a team like Liga MX, if we're taking Mateos from as the example, since he is the new arrival to the Houston Dynamo, it doesn't happen often, and the amount of time they give them in Liga MX is really short, man. It's a short leash. They know how much money they spend. If it doesn't work out within 2, 3, 4 games, that's pretty much it. They call it off, and it's like, well, we got to get another one.
And
Would you agree with that, or what's your feedback on that, Edson?
so I think another thing that we need to take into consideration is a lot of the times, a lot of players that come in from abroad can't get used to living in Mexico, whether it's because of the culture clash or because of personal matters. I mean, you have what, Brandon Vasquez. Brandon Vasquez goes to Monterrey, starts off well, and then there's reports saying that the his wife refused to move to Monterrey. He has to like travel like back and forth every day from between Cincinnati and Monterrey, and you see his performance decline until Monterrey has to get rid of him. And you mentioned Tigres and Andre Pierre Guignac. Even Tigres has struggled getting Andre Pierre Guignac replaced, and they brought Florian Thauvin. They've brought in Delort. Andy Delort, and
That's true. I think they may have gotten it right with Angel Correa, but to your point, how many times have they tried and failed?
the only thing that surprised me about the situation is how Cruz Azul was able to get away with getting their 10 million back.
Yeah,
With the Houston Dynamo. That's the only thing. I know when I did the squawk last week, I was like, this is a good opportunity considering the fact that Bogusz didn't want to return to playing with Cruz Azul. The fans don't want him. Looks like he fell out of order in the depth chart with Cruz Azul, and it's like it was the perfect opportunity to get him even cheaper, right? But I think considering the circumstances of, I guess, the Houston Dynamo really wanting Bogusz, either it's Pat Onstad or Ben Olsen like wanting him because it fits his system.
Yeah.
The Dynamo were willing to meet Cruz Azul fully to where they wanted. And then they even got even more. Bro. So it's like, who was the desperate one? Cruz Azul, and the one that acted desperate was Houston Dynamo. It's the only, I guess you can say, the only thing you can see negative out of. But I think you mentioned it right now. I think even with this $10 million, we could potentially get even more of a benefit. That his $10 million tells me.
And to your point, apart from all the things that you mentioned, it's also there's a conversation like recently with the with Cruz Azul head coach with Larcamón, and he was actually very high on Bogusz. It got to the point that it was like he just fell out of the starting 11 or getting more minutes because somebody else was doing better. And it was like when in Mexico specifically, when at the end of the day, it's really, really short. I'm gonna kick Edson out for a little bit, but when it's really, really short leash, and it's difficult for a player to get on the starting job back when another guy's performing well, and that's really what's happening. And a player like Matthew Bogusz, knowing that Poland is in the breach of getting into the World Cup, knowing that he is trying to get minutes to get into the national team and getting. There's so many factors that it's easy for us from the outside, kind of not taking for granted. And obviously, like they were saying, like his wife is pregnant. I mean, the Cruz Azul fans were just everywhere, all kinds of acting.
Chismosos.
And let's not forget as well a couple other things. Number one, obviously, Liga MX is at a higher level still for the most part, especially at the Cruz Azul level, like the top five. They're at a much higher level than MLS squads. And number two, you also have to take into consideration how much pressure there is in Cruz Azul from the media and from the fans, right? You're not going to get that kind of pressure like it is like they do in Mexico. Like whether it's the top teams in Mexico City and the teams in Monterrey, you're not going to get that kind of pressure here in the MLS. Yeah. So all of that plays into a factor as well.
Yeah, we'll move into other guys too. Dago said, how do you guys compare Bogus to the likes of like Rossi or Facundo Torres or Carlos or Evander? I mean, those are top players in the MLS. I think Bogus has that special something to be, I mean, he had a really, really good year in 2024. And kind of going into what Jeff.
Jeff
is talking about. It's also that why did LAFC, dude? It's money. I mean, yeah, exactly. Somebody came in and wanted 10 million for him. Same thing like Cruz Azul getting. You guys remember the guy in Atlanta, Yamamakis, the striker from Greece? Yeah. I mean, the guy was scoring, a ton of goals. Cruz Azul came in with a heavy bag of money. And he's gone. And I mean, the guy disappeared. He never really scored with Cruz Azul. I think now he's back in Greece, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, so it just doesn't work out. They go, they get the heavy heaters, and then it's funny to see because even like the Brazilians were talking about it with Mikael going to Palmeiras and Facundo Torres possibly leaving Palmeiras as well. How they're like, whoa, yeah, MLS has good players, but look, we bring them to a top league and they suck. And it's not purely that they're not good. It's just as you mentioned, Edson and Chris, this as well from like. The Argentinian league. It doesn't matter if the payroll is not there. It's just the prestige that those teams feel and that pressure to win big things like Copa Libertadores. Wouldn't it be, Chris?
Yeah, I mean, it's now or never. Like there's no time for building. I mean, you see, like, for example, it's something different, but like, for example, Nancy going to Wilfred Nancy going to Celtic. He was there 33 days, and in 33 days, I don't think he won a single game. But how do you hire a coach and then in a month literally fire him? But the pressure of certain teams and certain leagues, like they just is too much. And there's no time for adjustments. There's no time for, he's new to this league. There's no time for like, culturally he's different. Like all these things that we could say about Bogus and Cruz Azul that Edson mentioned, family issues and this and that. And, people don't care about that. People care about the product on the field. And to a certain extent, I completely understand it because as a fan, that's where I am too. We try to be a little bit more understanding and see the human side of things. But at the end of the day, like, it's a business. Yeah, and if you're not going to perform in the business, I'm sorry, but you're going to get let go. Absolutely. And that's just the way that it is.
And not only that, like as fans, like especially with the top teams, I mean, just take a look at hey, what's his name? This previous coach for Tigres. The guy was in third place with Tigres.
Yes.
Right. Yeah. But people didn't like his play style, and a lot of times it doesn't even results don't matter. Like with the fans, it's play style. Mm-hmm. Like if it's not a good fit for what's considered like the norm for the team or the.
Was it Paunovic?
Veljko Paunovic. Yes. Yeah. I mean, I didn't like him either. Why? I didn't like his play style. Right. And a lot of times in these in like in Argentina, like especially like when you're talking about Boca and River, and Chris, you're not gonna let me lie. A lot of the times you get fans that are frustrated because they don't like the way they play, even though the results are there. Maybe they're too defensive, right? Or maybe they let in too many goals.
And River happens a lot. River is more like known for like their pretty play. So like even if they win, fans will tell you like, I don't know, like we won, but like I just didn't like it.
And of course, there's levels to it, right? Yeah, because again, it depends on the team. I mean, you see a Real Madrid, right? Loses to Barcelona, you take take out Xavi Alonso. Then they put in another Real
Arbeloa.
Madrid legend, Arbeloa. He goes and plays Copa del Rey and loses to a third division at this point team.
17th place, second division or
Yeah.
third division.
Yeah, second division.
Terrible team.
So it's like it just happens, and the pressure is ginormous. And at this point, you just appointed the guy. So I mean, what are you gonna do? X him right there and then? I mean, you could. I'm sure they wanted to.
Yeah.
But it goes to the point there, like, did we get this right? Did we not get this right? And those are the clubs, and I think I think if when people sit and be trying to compare MLS and Liga MX, that's the major deal, right?
Yeah.
It's just the pressure that is being put on these clubs. If you're America, if you don't win, then that's it. You're a terrible. Like, doesn't matter how many they won. What, 3 titles back to back, or however many,
2 back to back,
and they got close to getting a third, and then obviously Toluca wins titles back to back, and it's just that pressure of like, if you're not winning, then we're it doesn't matter, right?
It's a different
if
world.
you're not first, you're last.
Yeah,
you're last. So
and that kind of goes back. Well, I mean, I always talk about, like, the MLS is too nice, and a lot of these things that we can say about the league itself, like, there's really no consequences. I mean, in Mexico right now, there isn't either, in a way, because they took out the whole relegation promotion stuff, right? But like, when you look at other leagues around the world, like for example, in like Real Madrid, obviously they're not going to go down, right? But it's one of those things, like, you can't lose, period. Like, if you tie, that's like a, they look at you sideways. But obviously here it's a little bit more forgiven, like, well, if you don't win this year, well, let's try again next year. Like, there's no another world. The media doesn't, and also, soccer, that isn't that same.
But it's the same structure as like all the leagues in America, right? And that's kind of like the point of what makes it different, and it's understandable. I get it, right? It's the Patriots. We have a Patriots in here, so we may have to get Edson out of here. Patriots fan, but no, to the point, it's like the league is structured differently, and it is very Americanized. You follow everybody else, and that's why they're the best leagues in the world. And MLB may call them, or NBA may call themselves the best leagues, and there's really no other competition outside of it. Maybe MLB competing with Japan at this point, maybe even Mexico, but that's what, 2 leagues instead of, like, the MLS has. Every country has at least one league.
At least 15 of the leagues.
And not only you say that, but it's like, how many MLB players would go out of the way to go to Japan?
Right.
Like, no. Whereas with MLS, it's like you get a call from Mexico, like just Mexico, like not even Europe, right? And if you do get a call from Europe, you're not gonna say no.
Yeah. No, exactly. And I mean, and then you take the league as a whole, like MLB. I mean, how many like Hispanic, countries and players are obviously already integrating into that? And like, for instance, if we are mourning a little bit of the Texans, I am. Edson's happy, but going to the sport as well. I mean, it's Americanized, it's American sport, because those, the players. I mean, it doesn't matter. Being Mexican myself, I'm not gonna ever really be 6'7", 300 pounds of muscle. Like, it's just, we're not built that way, right, Edson? And
unfortunately.
And Chris, you guys like have a couple kickers out there that made it like famous, like Gramatica. But my point is that now it's a little bit of structure as well when it comes to just the way the teams are faced. And it's good to see the MLS finally bring in players from, for a long time it was only Central America, and now you can see like from everywhere in the world, which is fantastic to see.
And if we want to get closer to home, I think we mentioned it last week. I don't know if we mentioned last week or not, but it's good that the Dynamo, not to diminish our Central American friends, but it's kind of good that they're going to look into the Brazilian league or the Argentinian league, or like the better leagues in this side of the world, and they're also not going to like Eastern Europe and like go to random Polish team. Same thing. No disrespect here, but it's a different type of player. Obviously, that it's a different type of player, different type of league, different type of pressure, different type of everything, and that's why, like, there's not. I mean, maybe I mean, look at everybody that we brought, right? Like from Bossy to what's the short guy with the tattoos thing?
About Seva Kovalchik.
Seva Kovalchik. Yeah,
that's
I know.
my boy.
The guy that went to Columbus, that I'm forgetting his name. Like all these guys that came, yeah. So like all these guys came from Czech Republic and
okay.
These,
you put it in a good realm. Let's move into the actual discussion. We're 30 minutes in, but here we go about the amount of money that is being spent on the roster, specifically since Ted Segal took over, right? Mm-hmm. So one thing is that people keep complaining about the amount of money that is being, spent in the roster. And it's night and day from what the Houston Dynamo used to spend for 20 years.
Traditionally.
And we're looking at, you guys can look at the numbers as well with us. I won't post it on here, but transfer market does show some of the, granted, are the numbers exactly perfectly accurate? Not really, but it gives you a good idea more or less of how much is being spent. And when you look at transfer market on the record, players that have come in, arrivals, we already know Ezequiel Ponce, was at about 10 or 8 million. Sorry. Mm-hmm. Which is, well, to give you a top down, number one is going to be Matthew Bogus probably at the end of the day there. Yeah. But you have Ezequiel Ponce under Ted Segal. You have Sebastian Ferreira under Ted Segal. You have Lawrence Anali in there. You have Linger. Albert Ellis was the highest at it's 2.20 million euros on here. Clearly, that wasn't under him. You have Ibrahim Aliyu. That's 1, 2. That's 5 out of 6. Jack McGlynn, 6 out of 7. Guillermo that came out this year. Yeah.
Yeah.
7 out of 8.
Yeah, and
then take into consideration that with Albert Ellis, you brought him on a loan first from Monterrey.
Yes. Yep.
And then once you realize that he was a good fit, then you paid for him. So this was kind of like a trial before buy kind of thing. And it's like we're coming off of Gabriel Brenner playing low risk, high reward kind of money ball kind of signings. And I mean, it only got us so far. I mean, the highest we got was under Wilmer, if I'm not mistaken, with Gabriel Brenner back in 2017. And then it just went downhill from there.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Right. Yeah. So obviously I remember back in those times. I mean, it was like when it's like, no,
you're Gabriel Brenner out. Best friend, bro.
I mean, back when he was back when he was with the Toros, it was better. But anyway, but the thing of the matter is like back in the day, the culprit was Gabriel Brenner, right? And so now we got what we wanted, him selling, Ted Segal coming in, right? But I think what started off in the wrong foot for Ted Segal, if I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong, was the rebrand. I think the fact of the matter is he comes in, he decides, okay, we're rebranding this team, we're rebranding the crest, we're rebranding the identity of this club. Yeah. And so all of the diehard fans that were there is like, what the hell's going on here? Like this is unnecessary.
I'm gonna correct you though, because I wanted the rebrand came right before he took over.
Okay, thank you. That's
however, I mean, obviously the owner meeting, so you never know if that was in play, a part of like him buying the club and you know what I mean, like
probably like a fresh start,
right.
Like, oh, I'm not tied to that old stuff.
because Ted Segal took over in 2021, if I'm not mistaken, like in the middle of 2021. And if I'm not mistaken, the rebrand technically happened right before that. So that's my point. Yeah.
And how long did both procedures take? Like
exactly
a takeover and all of that. But I think the point of the matter that I'm trying to make is I feel like a lot of these more negative fans, it's like they started off with one negative and it's kind of like, okay, he's going to mess up somewhere and I'm going to be at him. And then he's going to mess up here and he's going to mess up here. Right. So it's like, yes, como like we say in Spanish, ya se empeñaron. Right. And like any little thing that like overanalyze and say, oh, okay, like we need to get Ted Segal out. Right. So it's like you see with facts that he is spending money, and it's like no, they just continue to double down. It's like it's kind of like that meme with Adam Savage of Mythbusters. I reject a reality and substitute my own.
Right. No, absolutely. And because you're seeing that on and again, right now we're focusing on the
just the soccer
roster
side.
building, the soccer side of it. There's, the implementation of obviously bringing in Pat Onstad as well, creating Asher Mendelson's position, bringing in Source, right? I mean, the analytics group that there never really was one, a true scouting department. Apart from all the other, technical side. You keep giggling. What are you giggling about?
I'm giggling because the first move he made was to bring a club legend back. And then people got mad at me because I called him a club legend. Better one.
That's true. Yeah. But but that's the idea, right? That it's like he is trying, and we understand the issue here is that in sports is just in I wouldn't call them investors purely, but it's like anybody can, if you have the money, you can buy the club, right? And so it doesn't matter where you're from, and people are gonna blame like there's a lot of Americans in the EPL. There's a lot of Saudi money in in EPL and other. And however, in the US, I mean, this guy's an American owner, and he is still gonna get the idea of like, yeah, you're buying it, and he's a businessman at the end of the day. So you want to come in here, build as much as you can, and probably in the future sell. Probably same as like maybe Fertitta will do in the future. You never know, right? This guy's a Houstonian. He bought the Rockets because I see Christian's hat. And it goes to the point that, you never know. This guy could sell the club or, sell the team and make more money elsewhere. And at the end of the day, that's really what ends up happening, right? This owners are buying the club for a reason. They are investing, but he could have easily just sat there and not tried because they have Apple deals, they have TV deals. It doesn't really matter like how many people are on the in the stadium. Concessions may be hurting, but at the end of the day, like if he wanted to, it doesn't matter. Granted, we all are around the club. We all see the deficiencies in a lot of the facets of whether it be marketing, whether it be just the approach of community building, and that's things that they still need to push on. And we'll talk a little bit about that. But yeah, I mean, Dago says Fertitta does not spend on better elevator site of view. Yeah, exactly, dude. It just there's limitations, and doesn't matter just because this guy is local in comparison to a Ted Segal who is not. He's from New York, and we know that he lives elsewhere, and he comes every now and then. And there's people that do day-to-day business, like the president, right, Jessica O'Neill, and we see all this stuff that don't happen. And this platform that we have, I mean, we spend countless of times talking about what needs to change on that side of the club, for sure.
One little thing that I think we forget about a lot, or at least I do, is that he doesn't own one club. He owns two teams, I guess. So, and he also has to put money over there because those people, they also complain like if you're not doing enough for this team and you're not doing. So the dude obviously not defending him, but I mean he has to dash out money for both of them.
No pun intended.
But I mean he has to like. I mean, and that's the thing though. Like we can't really. I mean, let's be honest. A lot of those names that we read, they were probably trash. I mean, a lot of people would say that Sebastián Ferreira not trash, but he had maybe a 1 or 2 good years, but the rest of them he kind of went downhill, especially with getting him before Ben Olsen. So like whenever they got an actual good coach that can actually coach, then the guy didn't fit the system and stuff like that. And then you can argue with all these guys that came in that maybe didn't pan out or maybe they were not up to potential or whatever may be the case, like Aliyu or some of the other guys that we mentioned. But I think now, like looking forward, the fact that they have like soccer minds like Pat and Asher, and they kind of build also a metrics team or whatever we call it nowadays, whatever it is that they call it, stats. And so they're building that side of the soccer world, but also like they have a coach that has input and they're getting players that can fit that. So they're building like a whole team to actually play soccer, not just like random dudes from Eastern Europe.
And that's really what you want out of the main guy with the money, right? If you don't know the sport or whatever you're investing in, man, hire the people that know it.
Exactly. Wait, you're telling me you don't want people to be owners to be like Jerry Jones?
Hell
exactly. No. Imagine if like that happened. You know what I mean? Like the dude built a brand, and then he was like, you know what? This is my brand. I'm gonna do whatever I want. Right. But Ted, obviously he knew that. I mean, at the end of the day, like we said, it's about money. The dude made an investment, and he was like, how can I get more money out of my investment? He's like, well, let's go hire some good minds. Did Pat and Asher have some mess ups? Yes, they did. And what I love about Pat and Asher, or at least mostly about Pat, because he's the one that talks a lot, is that we do give him crap, or like, we as in the fans.
Yeah. Social media critical for sure.
But he comes out and he says, you know what? I messed up. Diaguinho, he showed up. He was like, yeah, we messed up. We watched him on a video and we like pulled the trigger. But not a lot of people are gonna own up to that, because then you do lose confidence in the fact that like is this dude really doing his job? The good thing about Pat is that he had a good track record in Columbus, so you have to like put things into perspective.
Yeah,
and,
and you have to be accountable. At the end of the day, he understands. He knows it. Exactly. And there's ideas that people don't see that yes, they're being accountable. They're being transparent. The people surrounding the technical side, the roster, the whether it be Ben, whether it be Pat, whether it be Asher, they're very transparent. They tell you how it is. Now, the other side of it, we don't know. And somebody asked about James Harden. Yes, James Harden has the stock in the team. I mean, this guy's just entrance is creating money, right? However much you put, he's probably already like, I don't know, blew it up by 20 at this point, interest rate. But what's the point? He shows up, takes a picture. It's social media related. That's really all you're doing. It's not like he's out there talking about the team, posting about the team. He got new shoes and made one orange and just called it Dynamo, and that was it. Like, dude, like there's nothing really pushing or thriving with that ownership. And it can go as far as Tim Howard as well. I mean, Tim Howard shows up here, takes pictures. I mean, he's a U.S. legend, but same thing. He has so many different platforms, and you don't never really see him discuss what's happening around. And when you talk to him, and Dustin was able to go to that press conference and ask him questions, it's very like cookie cutter. It's very genetic answers. It's nothing like. He doesn't know the market, and it's true, right? And I think there's no, you can say that he does, because he doesn't. He doesn't understand the market. He doesn't come out and push it, because why would he? He just needs to show up and be a face.
And Tim Howard doesn't really have a good track record being an owner.
Look
at Memphis 901.
Memphis, exactly.
Like it's like, I own the team. Oh, you know what? I'm also going to be the starting goalkeeper. And then it's like runs the team to the ground, and then he just bails out. When I saw that Tim Howard was going to be an owner, I was like, okay, well, good, welcome, but you better not pull a Memphis 901 on us, because that wound is still hurts deep within the USL Championship.
I bet, but I mean, I think they did just hired him as a soccer move in the sense like, okay, hey, we're getting a World Cup. People know you. People know your face. You're a household name in the U.S. soccer nation.
Yeah, Oscar De La Hoya does not own the Dynamo anymore.
I think he owns. I think he owes money to people.
Right. He still has to pay a couple transfer fees at this rate. But no, he's gone. So if you guys ever are curious, go to the page, like the Houston Dynamo .com page, and they show the ownership. Obviously, Ted Segal, Lyle Ace, which is the guy that's been with the club forever, and you never really see him. He definitely stays in the back.
Let's blame that guy.
Yeah, I don't know how much percentage he has in the club, to be honest. But I know that he's considered like at least influential when it comes to the amount of money he spends. And then
what's his name?
Lyle Ace.
Hey, you Lyle, come through, bro.
It actually said is the founder and CEO of Variance Capital, an investment firm focused on early and growth stage investments opportunities in the
There
sports,
you go.
media,
He
and live
knows.
entertainment sector. So,
Yeah.
I mean, clearly this guy knows what he's doing when it comes to money and building good assets. And then minority owners and investors, you do have James Harden still there and Tim Howard. And like I said, those guys, I mean,
They're
they're
just
pretty
faces.
faces. They're
Yeah.
just they're just
Tampoco tan querido.
they they're people that have a good amount of followers.
Yeah.
Obviously, for Tim Howard, you see him more because everybody in soccer, especially in the U.S., know who he is. They're not gonna put not Tim Howard, James Harden out there because what is he gonna talk about, right? I mean, he's like as long as the checks don't bounce,
You're
keep me
good.
in there. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And it's true, and it may hurt some people, may bother some people, but
It's
we're not
reality.
here lying. The people that are, showing their faces are people like Ted Segal, which is great. But it does come to, the question has to be asked about the precedent and, Jessica O'Neill. We don't see her as often.
Mhm.
Before that, it was the chief marketing person. Her name is escaping me. Oh man, this is gonna
The
bother.
short lady.
Yeah, I can't think of her name.
Was,
But
was she the one that used to work in motorsports?
Yes.
yes,
I'm trying to
Yeah.
remember her name as well.
Yeah.
She used, I think,
I can't
SJ something.
Something.
But anyways, same thing. She was also the face, but it's a lot of people that didn't know soccer, didn't know the MLS. Yes, I think in her case, I want to say she used to be like a main person in Nike, and as you mentioned, I believe she was in NASCAR or some
Nashville,
kind of.
right? Or like hockey or something. I don't know.
she was with the
Uh,
Predators, I think, as well.
No,
Yeah.
no, that was a different. That was
Okay,
the
no.
that was the revenue person.
We had a
Okay.
lot of people.
Yeah, yeah.
A lot of
Well,
people
and
that
it goes to that. A lot of the main core people that are here to help with soccer don't know soccer. To help the community don't know Houston. Like, there's a lot of issues that you run into, and the people like that we know that are local, right? All the communication guys, except for Leo. Sorry, Leo. And Miami's losing, by the way, Leo. So just if you're listening to this podcast, sorry, bud.
cover your ears, but
Cover your ears. But like, there's a lot of Houstonians that really care about the team, that really want to grow, that have great ideas, and it may fall on deaf ears because again, their leadership doesn't care, or may not want that, or
it's whack.
the vision is different. And I know for a while, and I say this as a guy that has had season tickets since like 2018. So I got into like, hey, let me buy my own season tickets after, as you mentioned, that's in the 2017 season that was one of the best. And then 2018 was fantastic too, because, you got a US Open Cup out of it. But
Mhm.
the idea of like, I myself that I invest and it'll be very minimal comparison. I would notice that a lot of the things that were happening around the stadium is to just bring premium tickets. And I totally understand, right? My ticket to like the Houston Dynamo may not really matter. If we're putting it this way, in the sense of like, I have two tickets, they're the second tier, and what's my two tickets in comparison to like a VIP president club, right? If they can sell that, they sold 30 of my tickets basically for the season. So I understand that, but because of that, I feel that that's emptied out the stadium as well. And I don't think people talk about that, because for a while, the side where El Batallón and the supporters group used to be when the stadium was brand new and open, all that area was turned into like more of an exclusive, like,
lounge kind of thing. Yes.
exactly. That kind of has, you look at it as empty, like, because they're trying to like, hey, if somebody buys it, we're making triple what we were making before, and like, that's fantastic. And they're like, no, it's not. You're taking away some of that, that. And granted, and again, I don't want to just specifically blame the Dynamo for doing it, because this is a worldwide pandemic when it comes to the way that they're approaching a lot of this stuff. And we know that the authentic fan, the fan that really cares, for their team, their diehards, I as a West Ham fan myself, not being from England and seeing all the people just complaining about the way that stadium is, it's just the issues that you run into because you're losing that authenticity that you have. I mean, hell, going back to Tigres, how many like people want a new stadium, right, Edson? But
Yeah.
how is that going to look, right? Whenever push comes to shove, is gonna run into some of the same things that I'm mentioning. If like they're gonna make
Monterrey.
it
I mean,
more
Monterrey when they
expensive.
got their new stadium. I
Yeah,
mean, they started appealing more to the upper class kind of fans,
You gotta make
and
money.
you see a lot. You see a lot of people say that Monterrey's home stadium has lost the atmosphere that they had in the previous stadium. And I think I want to add up to it, mentioning all of this situation about the Dynamo and appealing to like sponsorships. We had the same thing happen with the Toros. It got to a point where they invited like for like kit presentation events. Well, they did it 1 year, but they invited sponsors over
and then
season
they
ticket holders
disappeared.
and fans, right? And then I was like, I go on down in the valley and I'm like, hey, I don't like this. Is not correct. Blah 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 blah. And then I find out that the chief revenue officer is throwing a fit, and because he's like, who the hell does he think he is to tell me what is right and what is wrong, or mentioning me in front? I'm like, well, it's because you were recently hired. You're the person that from front office that I know by name that could do something, and it's like that's why I mentioned you. But the fact of the matter, I think is one of the things you mentioned. Jessica O'Neill and all this front office that just keep doing the same thing, thinking that something different is going to come out of it. I think another reason is, and I hope that I'm wrong, but I think it's also ego. I think it's also the fact that they think they know what's right, and nobody else, whether it's within the Dynamo or outside the Dynamo, can tell them that what they're doing is wrong, or give them at least not say like, oh, you're wrong, but a different point of view. Maybe try this. Maybe try this. It's like, no, who are you to know? I'm the one in the position. I'm the one that studied. Went to college for this.
Right.
I know you don't.
Yep.
So be quiet. Kind
No,
of thing.
it's dead on, dude. Because like I mentioned SJ because I remember the fact that I would see she would often part of like whether it be obviously she was a part of the marketing group. So the time that I would see her was whenever they unveiled like the new jersey, the one you're wearing, or was it? No, maybe it wasn't that one. It was the orange one, the new one. So it was last year, but a lot of times when I would see her in the stadium was always with the premium seats, right? So it's like it's all as I think Jeff put, they lean too much on corporate sales and just instead
Mm-hmm.
of bringing fans there. And again, it's all about money at the end of the day, and it's understandable, but you are losing a little bit of grasp on trying to fill the entire stadium. And for a longest time, the 713 nights were fantastic. I think you saw how
Yes.
much they sold out those tickets. Those corners were actually full. It was the way that they tried to do it before Ted. I think it was right before Ted took over. It was a lot of Houstonians really trying to help bring in more people. And it was a time where the Dynamo weren't good. So we know that, if you're not a winner, people aren't going to show up. And I love how people are always saying Robertson days, man, it used to be packed. Dude, you go back and there was a lot of people and it was a bigger stadium, but there was a lot of empty seats as well. So let's be realistic that, it has ever been like what it's in Seattle or Atlanta or, take the X team that fills their stadium day in and day out, right? But they what is the formula? We really don't know. I think we all kind of have an idea of what can be done better. I mean, to your point, Edson, that again you hit on the head is a lot of pride as well because I'm sure there is people that work in Houston Dynamo and they listen to Bayou City Soccer, or they listen to Glenn Davis, or they listen to all these shows that have an idea of how to what could be done better, but they can take it in a way of, as you mentioned, it's like, why are they telling me this? Why is it? Maybe because nobody's telling you that. Maybe everybody else is just agreeing with you when they know it
Bunch of
doesn't
yes men
work.
and women.
And but they know that they can't really go against you because I mean you may X
We'll get
them, right?
fired.
I don't
Yeah,
get paid
that's the
by the
thing.
Dynamo. Like us, we don't get paid by the Dynamo. So we're here, week in, week out, talking about how the team works and my beef with Ami Basi for the last 4 years. And and but at the end of the day, we don't shy away from it, of course. But yeah, I know I said a lot. If you guys want to jump in, I know there's a lot of Cesspool said, yeah, they work at community, Glenn said. Um, a lot of the things I listened to the episode with Glenn, and there's a lot of truth to what Glenn was saying. I mean, I feel bad for him the way that he was exited out. I seeing it on the other side, you kind of saw it coming after Apple TV took over because they were exiting. I mean, Houston wasn't the only one.
Yeah.
Getting real
remember that last year they had like fired him, and then last minute they brought him back.
Right. Yeah.
So that was like the end of, unfortunately, that was like the beginning
I think if I recall correctly, if anybody knows more, can correct me if I'm wrong. But that originally was an Apple decision when you mentioned right there,
correct.
and the Dynamo on behalf of Glenn, because of the fans, another pushback, they were the ones that advocated for Glenn to at least give him at least the local radio call.
Because I remember you could like put it on. I'll be honest, the last few games that I actually would try to put Glenn on because either I didn't like the Spanish or I didn't like the English. But I would try to like find the local radio one, and maybe I don't know, maybe my TV is tripping, but I couldn't find the feature of like.
There were some games where like that feature bugged out, and I knew that there was a local call because obviously my buddy Justin, would do stats, right? Because he would tell me like hey, can you check out and see how this is sounding? And I'm like, bro, I can't even access it for some reason.
And I think that's really the issue. It goes to the point that you're running into Apple, being the owner of all the rights. I mean, we know this as like people that cover the team. They're like before. I mean, when Billy, would help us out and take pictures, he loved it. He was like, dude, I can go around the entire, field. Like no one's bothering me. And like Apple got in here and like, bam, bam, you can't go past here. You can't go there. That by minute this, you can't be there. Like there's so many rules in place. And when it comes to the local radio, they were just trying to like, take it out. And I know that everybody else tends to have that, right? Everywhere in the world they have that, but they don't have like exclusive, an exclusive package with Apple TV, if that makes sense. Like, you couldn't really watch any other game outside of it. Every now and then they try to put one that you could watch for free when it came to the MLS, but it wasn't like back in the day where you would get like, obviously some of English channels, but then you would also jump into like TODN or
Unimas, I remember.
Exactly, like all this other stuff that you would see more games. And because of that, as it happened, you kind of felt that they were going to face that away. Now, when it comes to the Spanish broadcast, it's different because I think they are not necessarily owned by the team, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm sure their structure is much different. And they obviously were the only, as of right now, the only actual radio call that you could hear locally with Cesar and
Danny.
Yeah. But yeah, it's interesting. And again, it goes to set up. And I know the Dynamo looked bad. And I'm sure they, to me, what looks bad if the things that, Glenn said that they didn't give him a courtesy call or no one, maybe the president or the owner or someone like at Leeds, kind of came in and said it. I mean, that's where it's wrong because you see that. And again, going back to being a ticket, having my own season tickets, I told you guys, I'm like, man, they just sent me a random email that my guy, that helps me out got basically fired. That's what it said. And I'm like, dude, this guy was like super helpful. He had just had a kid. Like it was very cutthroat. And I saw that, I told you guys, and then out of nowhere, I saw an anonymous post on that big Facebook Houston Dynamo fan group, and everybody was going crazy because they were seeing the same thing. And it's not new. There's a lot of things
it's the culture.
Exactly what it is. And it's like, how does that get better? I mean, again, it goes back to, if somebody understands yes, Houston is very different. You go down the road and probably you'll run into out of 10, maybe there's 3 true Houstonians and the rest are transplants from a different city. Mexico City right here, Christian, Buenos Aires,
McAllen, when I was over there.
Like exactly. And so, but again, someone called you boludo. There you go. You got it.
Where's the Zon?
but it's interesting because again, that's the point. I feel like you're right. Is the culture is like, hey, you gotta be connected. I mean, Christian, you always talk about like falling in love with the aspect of a lot of what we're doing now because of Sunderland. I die right or
Yeah.
yeah, and how they were like, hey man, I've been doing this. I've been selling tickets for 30 years. I've been doing this. Local radio guy for 30 years, and I've been the same people doing the same thing for a long time creates this relationship, this community, this attachment, because you go and go see the team, but you're also like, hey man, like I know that person, I know the security guard, I know, like there's a lot of things that people don't see behind the scenes. And us that I mean, don't get me wrong, that everybody that's in here, I'm sure goes to every single game, but you get a whole different match day when you are behind the scenes, that Edson,
Yeah.
that you see, you start running to the same people, like the same communication team or the same, whatever it may be. And when you start seeing different faces and just different vibes, that also it puts a dent on what you're trying to build, because it doesn't really feel homey. It doesn't feel like, hey man, like at the end of the day, it just goes in like you clock in, clock out, and that's it, right? And it has to be more than that when you're trying to build community. And if you're not envious of places like Seattle that do that, or there's so many other, and I'm purely talking MLS related, right? There's some clubs that have been alive and doing it for a long time. But Seattle, Portland, those teams have been there from the 70s, San Jose, even with all the issues of selling the team to Houston, they have a really rich culture of soccer. And now that we don't, Houston has always had its teams, and with the Houston Dynamos back in the day, and hot shots, and with indoor and all the that I remember hearing and seeing. But it goes to like, there's nothing that kind of gels it all together.
Here's the difference, Rudy. Seattle, Portland, and all these teams that are, you can say, the benchmark or the standard of MLS when it comes to community and all of that. Where did they start? They started at the grassroots level.
Yep.
Right. They started from as a community team.
Started from the bottom.
Exactly. And they just kept that tradition, that culture. They transplanted to MLS. How many years did that take? Now,
yeah,
you look at, let's say, for the Houston Dynamo. The Houston Dynamo started 100% from a corporate franchise environment of MLS.
Yeah.
Right. So that culture stays there. There's not the freedom. Let's say, I know you guys are gonna be like, oh my God, he's a homer. The Red Crowns. Okay. The Red Crowns at the beginning, what did they do? They were open and they went out to the community. Okay, what colors remind you of home? What animal reminds you, or what do you think reminds you of the Rio Grande Valley, right? And they took all that feedback together and made it into the crest that we have right now. Another thing, like the president Kobe just went on another podcast, and talked about, okay, well, we would like to be hopefully in the future become a professional team. But if the community doesn't want that because they would lose their, the cheap tickets or lose the community, I'm more than happy to be like, you know what, I guess it's not for us kind of thing, right? But always community feedback will be open. The team will be open. Why? Because that's what they want to make a connection to the community. Whereas when you start a franchise in MLS, who are you more willing to listen to or to cater to?
And
the sponsors, and of course, Daddy MLS, like Don Garber and all this. Like, that's who you're gonna be, vouching for. That's your primary stakeholders, not the fans.
And we know that the history of the Dynamo started on the wrong foot from the beginning. I mean, the team was gonna be Houston 1936, and there was history there was clashing. They had obviously the gear ready, scarves ready, all this stuff, and they're like, no one did their homework and trying to really figure out, hey, there was a Dynamo's team, and obviously that came later. Hey, let's go with that name. But it's to your point. It's like someone doesn't just do their homework. It's a lot of like, hey, let's just make it work. It's more of like, here's my idea, and we'll find things in the city that kind of belong to this, and we'll drive it. And it's like,
even the crest.
I mean, look at your purple jersey to begin with, bro. Why is it a purple jersey? Because of Screw culture, you know?
Yeah.
That's something that is driven. It's not something that is embodies the entire city. You know, there's a lot of things missing. They're trying to find ways to, you know, bring a certain amount of people this way, and then like next year we're going to try something else and bring it. But are they sticking around? Are they being, you know, becoming true fans of the team and
it's
falling in
not
love?
it's not cohesive because the people in these departments are not the same year after year. There's so much turnover that every year you have different ideas. So, okay, well, this year, like let's say with the screw jersey, we're gonna cater to the underground culture.
Yeah.
And then next year with different people, it's like, oh, let's go towards the soccer mom culture, just to name something. Right? So there's never been a cohesive tradition year after year, at least from the marketing department, that makes it things that evolves from a marketing scheme, or call it a gimmicky or whatever, to something that evolves organically to a tradition.
And I think one thing that I found really funny to that is also that, you know, we always joked around, or well, not joked around. We were very honest about the way that Hector Herrera, you know, was here, and they never really marketed him. And, you know, you would see his own sponsors take him out to like carnicerias and fruterias and, you know, on his own. And it wasn't really Dynamo related. He was out there wearing whatever, you know, sponsor he was out there for. And then, you know, he gets, you know, they mentioned that he's back, and they do like 20 posts in social media you know, in a row, basically, of Hector Herrera, and they're just blowing him up now. And what I felt sad is like there was a girl from the Houston Dash that was announced, and like literally the same minute that Hector Herrera's, they throw a post of Hector Herrera as well. So I'm like, dude, you guys aren't
just
helping each other.
Yeah.
Like, you guys work together. You are a club, you know, Houston Dynamo FC, which umbrellas, you know, 3 teams in total with the Dynamo, the Dash, and Dynamo 2. And how are you going to do that? Like, you need a little bit of thinking. And I understand that, like, the social media are probably split, is not the same person doing it, but like I feel like you got to get in a page on this, you know, like you have to be able to help. You're trying, you have somebody brand new, and she's a very good player, and out of nowhere, Hector Herrera, who's gonna get more likes, more views, you know, more exposure at the end of the day in the algorithm of what is social media. It's just common sense to us. But
you gotta give the girls their time on the spotlight as well.
Muchachos.
All right, Christian. You haven't talked much.
I mean, you guys are saying
you're gathering everything in. You know,
I just feel like you guys have said most of the points that I think we have been. It's funny because not a lot of people, but there's some people that they're like, oh, you know, you guys don't talk about things, don't say things. But I feel like we've been saying this for years. I mean, we've been complaining about the marketing. We've been like, we always say the stuff that we like, and then we also feel like we say the stuff that we don't like. So like the whole purple stuff. I mean, you know, when I did my little own show, I talked about how I loved it because, you know, it reminded me of middle school and all these things. But also I completely understand how in the bigger picture it makes no sense, right? Because you're going towards a group of people that maybe had nothing to do with soccer, you know. Because they did that video in the barbershop. Yeah, they did that video in the barbershop, which was like 2 blocks away, just because it was in Edo and stuff like that. And the dudes, I mean, not to their, you know, it sucks that they did that to them, but like they had no idea what soccer was. But since they were like 2 blocks away, and that's the thing, like not even the culture around the stadium it's Houston, it's like Dynamo culture. Like usually if you go around a stadium, like whenever I went to Nashville, right, or whenever we went to St. Louis, like you see the bars, you see like all these things all around the stadium that are like very, I mean, it doesn't help that the Dynamo have the Astros like literally across the street almost, but it's I don't know, I just feel like nothing is catered to it. My personal belief is that they are just waiting for the World Cup to come and just build off of that.
Yeah.
I mean, is that going to help? 1,000%.
Well, and whether it be building off or selling the club, at this point, you don't know, right? Yeah. But granted, we can't say that the investment.
I don't think he'll sell it.
But I mean, we don't know, right? I mean, there was rumors about the Bash.
You're muted. But I think there's two different things, because I think Ted, in a way, he obviously gets all the crap because he's the owner. I think he's trying the best that he can. The problem with the Houston Dynamo is not the owner itself, because I feel like he's actually trying to find people that, are good at their job. The thing is that the people that he's hiring for the day-to-day operations of the club as a club are just not, first of all, soccer people, which I don't understand how you can hire somebody for a soccer job that doesn't know anything about the soccer world. That's just the first. I understand if they were in sports, but just because you came from a sports background doesn't mean that you're going to soccer. There's so much culture to it. I might even add there's like a culture around the sport of soccer.
Soccer is culture, man.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like
Look at all the sambas everywhere. People wear sambas, and like people that play soccer know exactly what it is. But there's so many Bad Bunny out there wearing sambas, for God's sake. From everybody's wearing
clothing to like words to like soccer. It's its own culture.
Y'all remember everybody wearing those 3/4 pants for a long time, and and
all
no one knew,
right?
Ones, soccer players knew where those were for, but everybody else just wore it for and that's the point. I think like it's so like the sport is so big that if you don't understand it and it's especially in the American culture, I mean we know how far MLS is down the depth chart when it comes to the other sports. And sometimes when again, if you're still making money, who cares? But if you're trying to build something big, something lasting, then you really have to take advantage of what you have. I mean, dude, you go down, I would always laugh because I lived in Midtown for a few years. And whenever I would go to Target or anything like that in the little small bubble inside, 610, it was like, oh my God, there's a guy with a Dynamo jersey. And it's like, oh my, like I would run into a few people. Now out here in the boonies, like I never see anybody with the Dynamo jersey, right? And so it trickles, and I understand. And we've talked to even people like Ruben from We Got Soccer. He says like, dude, I know the city, he lived in Houston. It's like, this is where we're putting We Got Soccer because we've done our homework. And this is where, the Houston soccer youth specifically are here. This is the area. And it's like, dude, if they can do their homework, you would think the local MLS team will do that as well. And that's
funny, but
that's kind of like the crushing aspect of it. And
I was just thinking, have you guys seen, well, not you, Edson, because you don't live here, but I haven't seen any billboards. At least, I mean, my track it's pretty short, but I haven't seen it. If anybody on the chat, if you have you seen any billboards or anything like that? I know there's some guys that are all around the city, but if you see one, take a picture of it, because we're a month away and there is no promotion whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like we're a month away. I haven't seen a single, other than like player announcements, I haven't seen a single promotional. There's no jersey. There's no rumors. There's nothing to kind of go off. I mean, if you're just a random dude, you would have known that in 1 month, the MLS starts.
And I think one of the biggest, not complaints, one of the issues that I kind of rose when the previous marketing director was hired, my thing was, when will we learn that marketing for a soccer club is not going to be the same as it is for NASCAR, which tends to be a lot. Now they're realizing you have to cater to the old school Dale Earnhardt, Richard Petty, Jeff Gordon kind of fan base to get something, that good old boys kind of thing, right? That's not going to translate to soccer. Football is different, just with the fact that soccer is not only is it a sport, but it's a culture that affects social outcomes, political outcomes, and of course financial, things around the community that it's based on. Just look at teams like, just in Europe, like in the UK. Like all of these teams came up because, they were factory workers that decided to build a team, right? So traditionally this team has been seen as like the working man's club, Whereas now, let's say Manchester City, it's like the rich guys club kind of thing. And so there's this whole thing that needs to be looked at, that school is not going to tell you how to do it right. And I think somebody with a background in soccer will understand, yes, there's some things that I could bring in from what I learned at school, in School of Marketing, School of Business. Yeah. But I also need to understand, like, let's say the Houston Dynamo is more impactful in the Latin American kind of aspect, the youth, starting off a culture from the youth up, right? That'll hopefully go, like, if you cater to the kids, then the adults are going to go with them to take them. Whereas, for example, in FC Dallas is more Americanized, and of course, Austin, you could say it's more like catering to the transplants that go to Austin.
Yeah, you have to understand your city. You have to understand, and to me, I mean, people are always writing about, like, well, you have to go to youth soccer, and I think you do. It's important, but you can't just rely on one thing. Because specifically when you are a number 4 city or largest city in the U.S., I mean, there's no way, Christian and Edson, that you can't fill up a 20,000 person stadium in one of the biggest cities and one of the biggest soccer cities.
It's like,
and
5 million people here, bro.
It's incredible. And I mean, you see other teams, and you see, like, other cities that, like Philadelphia. And to me, I was surprised when I got to go to Philadelphia in their stadium. I didn't really expect it to be completely sellout. And I was like, wow, because same thing. You feel that, okay, it's going to be, Eagles are there, the Phillies are there, the Sixers, all these other teams that are good, especially when I was going. And it's like, but no, man, they still find ways to sell out. There has to be something, something bigger, something transparent. And to cesspool thing here, yes, I do agree. I feel like the players, they're not as easy. They don't make themselves accessible at times. And we know this also being in the back. If they lose, they're going straight to the locker room. They're going home. Like, they don't want to talk to anybody or see anybody, or whatever the case may be. Apart from a few guys, right? Mm-hmm. I'll definitely throw out there, like, Eric Svichenko. No matter what it is, Dorsey. Arthur, same thing. Dorsey, like, those guys are there, and they do try to get, the fans and stuff, but it's not the same vibe. And you can see the big difference in the same stadium when you go to a dash game. A dash game, win or lose, doesn't matter. They wait, 30 minutes going around the entire stadium signing autographs. Yeah. And why can't they do that here? You're already getting paid, man. What are you going to do? Get home 30 minutes later than you should? What's the point, man? Go out there, invest. I mean, I know that, as a kid, like, seeing it, I would have loved to be, I got the opportunity a few times of, like, meeting my idols and getting autographs, and the excitement that I know that is. So I understand it for other kids, And I joke around, and I think we even had that conversation with Griffin Dorsey and Jonathan Bond when I was, he was saying about, like, getting the opportunity to play with, like, a Michael Bradley and, like, a Josie Altidore when he was in Toronto. And I told him, like, and I think he didn't take it as seriously, but I'm like, dude, Dorsey, there's kids here in Houston that want to be you. They want to be like you. They want to sweat that jersey. They want to show that pride as well, even though you're not from Houston, but you are a part of their local team. There's kids that love you. And if they don't see it, and they jokingly say, dude, like, I don't play in the U.S. national team, I'm not that great. Dude, that's not the case. They really care for you, and they want to be able to, get that autograph, or get, even that high five, whatever it may be, that makes a kid's day. And again, it doesn't, it just creates a massive fandom. Like, my kids, I have a 5 and 6 year old, and next year, I'm screwed this year. They're gonna be 6 and 7, so that's gonna get old real fast, guys. But yeah, trust me, they've been working on it for the last 6 months, and
one raises, and then the other one's
they're not even there yet. But my point is, like, their fandom is, like, really gets into when they see me watch it on TV. I know that I cover the team and I go a lot of the games, and they always tell me, like, hey, did you go to work? And I joke, I'm like, I don't work there, but thank you for. Because I'm there all the time. That there's a game.
My kids say too.
But I do my best to take them to games, to get them attached. Whether they play, I don't want them to play soccer like I love the sport and I played it, but I don't want to push them on that. But if they fall in love with the team, if they want to wear the jerseys, if they want to watch the games, dude, you're just creating fandom, right? Because maybe they'll fall in love with it and they'll be the ones taking their own kids to the games and like going to season tickets. And that's how you build it. And that goes beyond everything else. And we know that that takes time, right? It's not a like, you snap and it's there. You're snapping, you're there, guys.
And it's almost like at the end of the day, it's like you may not see it. You may just see it as, oh, it's my version of a 9 to 5. Like it's my job. It's, but the kids, when they see you out on the pitch, right or wrong, they see you as you repping them, you repping the city, right? And so they'd love to have an opportunity to go to you as a player and be like, thank you so much for repping us. Thank you for all the hard work, all the sweat, that effort that you're putting out there on the pitch, just the ability of them seeing that you're living their dream or they're living their dream. And so it's like, I would love to be in your shoes. How can I be like you kind of thing? It's an opportunity to interact with with these kids and maybe like even like push them to pursue soccer as well. Like, you know what? This player, told me that anything that I can do it. That's the push I need to enter an academy or to play high school soccer and push. You have that motivation to, you know what? I'm going to do the sacrifice that I need to be a professional soccer player, hopefully in the future, even though it's a lottery, with the odds are against me, but I'm going to put my 100% to reach that goal because this player that I looked up to had faith in me.
I'm gonna have 2 points. We'll both build off of him, and this has been a long episode, but I think it's great. I hope the listeners are enjoying it as much as I am. 2 things, because I see Jeff talking about Holden. Okay, they took Stu Holden to Pearland, to like the city of Pearland where I lived as a kid. Mm-hmm. They took him there when there was like a community event at a park. And he was just there signing autographs. And to this day, I need to find it, but I have it somewhere still. And I mean, I was like in my mid-teens, but it was exciting to just get that opportunity. And it's something they don't do that often. It's more of a, hey, this is it. We're going to Adidas shop because my sponsor said this. Like, it's not like, hey, go in the community. There's all kinds of community. Hell, they do all kinds of like, Saturday, what are those things called? Those market things, what I'm talking about. Anyways, but yeah, stuff like that. It's like there's people gathering. Why not just show up, even if it's around where you're at? And I get it. The level of professionalism is much different. That was my point. The second thing that I was going to mention was also the fact of mention of it's curse or bless and signing Baird and all this stuff. So it's kind of throwing me off. But it's to the point that. I went to the Valley, Edson, and I don't know if I even told you, but I was in the Valley around December 5th, 5th, 6th, 7th, and you guys down there had a huge parade, right? There's a huge parade in one of the high schools that you guys do, like a Christmas parade.
Oh, yes. Yeah, at Mac High.
Dude, I was just laughing about the amount of cowboy-related stuff. And I know there's big fans, but that's how you keep them alive, right? I mean, you bring a guy that won a Super Bowl 30 years ago, and people are still, like, wanting autographs, wanting pictures, grow the fandom. I mean, we understand that whenever it's the Texans, that's Houston. That's Houston's team. Everybody else in Texas is a Cowboy fan. And whenever Cowboys do stuff like that, it just makes you think, like, dude, they're just that resource of just being present is something that the Dynamo really don't understand.
And who also
Dynamo
does that? The Spurs. The Spurs have also recently started to do their homework and do their marketing here in the Rio Grande Valley because there's a lot of Spurs fans over here. Not me, but I digress. But the point is, like, now you got Taco Palenque, getting sponsoring the Spurs. Now you've got them sending out. I think I put it in the chat once. They sent out a link, or they sent out an email to previous or people who have bought tickets to Spurs games, because I took my sister once, with a specific, marketing movement for the 956. like a specific here like for people in the Rio Grande Valley, this we have this where you buy these number of tickets and this rate is specifically for those in the Rio Grande Valley. So it's like they're doing their homework out there. Obviously the Cowboys are doing their homework, with all of their marketing here. Yeah, exactly. Right.
We're here.
But imagine. Okay, take a micro system as we close out. But it's like, imagine if Houston would do it here. Like, hey, dude, this is the Katy section. Like we're buying this package, and this is Cypress. This is like without people knowing. You start selling them together. You start creating community that you wouldn't even expect, right? Just because. Whatever the case may be, there's ways to do it. There's ways to raise the awareness of the team. And I understand that they got burned in the past. Fans, that is, with the old ways. And I think they're trying to do something better, but they're not there yet, Chris. They're not there yet.
Yeah. Do you guys think the Dynamo front office know what spring branch is?
It's a branch that comes out in the spring, bro.
I don't even know where spring branch is, but then again, I only live 4 years. So
yeah.
But if you go to a Dynamo game, there's a flag that says spring branch.
Yeah.
True.
Do you think they know what fondren is? I mean, I don't want to go there as much. But with all due respect,
don't go at night like your doors.
But there's a fondren flag. You know what I mean? The point is that the people are there and they're representing themselves from the city. I've thought about making my own flag, just saying we're from the West.
And to your point, dude, I mean, again, I'm a season ticket holder. I like to go to the games as a fan and enjoy with my dad or my brother or whoever I may go with my family. But I also see it on the sides that we are on now. Like whether we want it or not, we're on the media side that we want to grow the sport, and that's why we do it. And we're here consistently week in, week out, trying to get that information out there. And I feel like if we don't do it, who else is going to do it, right? And as much as I have ideas and you guys, if you guys are on our Discord, I know that, obviously we also have a Bayou City Soccer channel where we communicate whatever's happening. But I tell you guys, I'm like, dude, simple chance, like get some chance. Let me look for it as someone. You have something to say, man. Let me look for it real fast.
And like, I think another thing you mentioned, like you got Fondren, you got Spring Branch. You also have in El Batallón 956, my buddy Mike, former president of the Stampede. He loves the Dynamo. He created himself like, I'm going to make a Rio Grande Valley chapter of El Batallón, but this was all an initiative that he as a fan created. It wasn't the Houston Dynamo. Now, one of the things that irks me like the most about here in the Valley is that there's so much connection and culture between Houston and the Rio Grande Valley. Like, just for starters, the mamalonas, like the mamalonas, like the trucks, like no quema kind of thing, right? And it's just amazing in a bad way how there's more Austin FC jerseys out here in the wild in the Rio Grande Valley.
That's crazy, bro.
Than the Houston Dynamo, right? Where it's like, but then it makes sense. But then it makes sense when if they can't get their own town, what makes me expect that they're going to do good marketing in the Rio Grande Valley, 5 hours away.
For real.
Yeah. And I mean, obviously, like things that we the supporters group sometimes get like a bad rep, but man, like people like Batallón, they always try to get high school kids. I mean, we know when there was the high school band, I think last season, right? And everybody was like, oh my God, they need to bring them more often. And it's great that they did it, of course, especially on a Wednesday game. Stuff like initiatives like that they themselves do. I know that Manny down in El Batallón is big in doing that, bringing the new generation. I think they even have like a junior like El Batallón there. The kid kind of went into El Batallón and he's bringing his high school friends or whatever the case may be, or even younger. So I mean, the people are hungry, but it's like they also need a little bit of help. But anyways, here's the chant that I put on the thing. I put McGlynn, Super Jack McGlynn. He passes, he shoots, he makes the orange sing. Like, I just love also, like
I want to hear the other version of it.
No, that the one that Edson had in his head. I don't know. To me, this gave me like Paul. What's it? Anyways, where you? Edson's about to sing it. Here you go.
No, I don't. I need to see the
I don't know the song,
but it's basically the same lyrics, but just to the tune of. I mean, It's the same tune as the Houston, Houston. That's the Jamás by Camilo Sesto.
Yeah. But I'm such a big fan of like those type of chants from when it comes to like the UK's Paul Mullen is more or less kind of where this is going from West Ham United, but like it's like simple stuff, because I know that also like not everybody speaks Spanish, and I get it. Get Duolingo for that. Trust me, it works. I'm learning Italian. But to the point of like, dude, like, okay, if you don't like a lot of those like songs that are being spoken because you don't understand it, you don't want to learn the lyrics, then why not create simple chants, man? Get them around. I mean, I know that they tried to create, put in, was it the Three Little Birds song, and it wasn't gonna hit. It didn't feel genuine, and
it has no ties.
Exactly. I think you need to get something, but I don't bash them for not trying, for sure. But then we go back to like the HOU chant, like come on, like it's not happening. Here's I don't know if it'll play that. Let me see. Can you see the lyric?
I don't think
McLean, Super Jack McLean. He passes, he shoots, he makes the orange sing. Get that going.
Really so British.
I'm trying, brother. I'm trying. The thing is, like, my point is that like soccer is universal, man. Like, if you can be, I mean, there's obviously there's some rated R ones that I would love to hear as well. That you
Which
hear
ones?
like Man City always saying, or like I'm trying to think of like the "You're Not Special." You ever heard of that one? No. "You're Not Special." You're not special. Like, but there's some that have like all kinds of nice cuss words that just crack you up. But dude, take that. If anybody from the supporters section is listening to this, take those lyrics, make them your own. Change whatever but like just take that as an idea. To bring something new, bring something fresh, give the opportunity to someone that's sitting next to you to chant other than just clap and say Houston Dynamo, right? And again, it's not a bad thing. You want for them to be chanting, but if you get something else, it engages them completely different. And we know this, right? Edson, you know that. I mean, you go to Tigres games all the time. I'm sure you see all kinds of things, and whether it be just chance of it in good or bad. And Chris, I mean, Boca Juniors, I mean, you guys are kings for making all kinds of chances.
Yeah, like for example with Tigres, they did the whole thing. Hincha de Tigres, ¿cuál es su profesión? La U, which is from like the movie 300, I think.
Yeah.
Right. And so, what is your profession? Kind of thing. And Libres y Locos started it. And it just took off. So it's like you have the whole stadium doing lau. And it just like when I went to the practice, the open practice before the final, like they would do it. And it just, my dad had never gone to a Tigres game in a long time. And so when he heard it, and it was like 3/4 full, when he heard like the whole stadium echo, he was like, oh my God, like this, like I've never heard this in a long time.
Yeah.
So it's
just start the yeah, you know exactly what I was gonna say. Don't start that. We don't want that one. But Christian, man, this has been a great show. Edson, tell the people how they can connect, man, and we'll shut it down. Maybe we didn't hit every single topic that we wanted to, but I think there's a lot there. And dude, we almost have 200 people watching us live, so that's pretty incredible. And thank you to you guys.
Yes, website is BayouCitySoccer.net. That's where you're gonna find everything and anything that is Houston related. Soccer Houston related. Go check us out over there. Don't forget, if you haven't yet, subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you leave a like, a thumbs up. Make sure you hit the notification bell. It lets you know when we come on this show on Monday nights, Wednesday nights, or Thursday. Yeah, Wednesday nights. We have Orange and Blueprints, where the guys talk about the Dash and everything that is related to that world. And of course, everything that it's going to be coming on next on those. We might have a little surprise later about the away games, so I'm still trying to coordinate that.
And Thursday we'll be back also with Movimiento Naranja, probably starting this Thursday.
And of course, don't forget, I'm going to try to be a little bit more consistent. But Fridays it's going to be it's a collaborative effort between Bayou City Soccer and Down in the Valley, the Squawk. So it's just basically like a weekly recap of some of the news that have happened for RGB Red Crowns, Houston Dynamo, and Houston Dash. So be sure to check it out as well on both the Bayou City Soccer and the Down in the Valley YouTube page.
And of course, our social media is at Bayou City Soccer, X, Instagram, Blue Sky, and Facebook. So go check us out over there if you haven't yet. Make sure you follow us there. Like we always say, sometimes we have breaking news ourselves. Sometimes we are like the first one on some stuff. So go make sure you stay tuned to that. And then also just engage with us. We always try to have cool things for you. New fresh stuff to whoa. That sounds violent and sexual.
Well, big news. Big
yo.
news. We didn't really talk about, but obviously the Dynamo haven't confirmed it. But it looks like Edson Ochoa is out. He's going back to Honduras.
R.I.P.
Obviously, we know that Matthews Bogus looks like it's incoming. They'll probably announce it tomorrow when this drops on the podcast feed. But it is what it is, and that's what we're here for, man. So thank you again. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to hold it down, keep it forever orange, and sing them.
Rudy got to go take out the trash.
Oh yeah, take out the trash, Rudy. All right, thank you guys. I'll see you later. Peace.